cut to size. Turns out nowhere in my town does that. I no longer really know what I'm doing. I just heard something fall. I don't know what it was. Hello. For the longest time, I've dreamed of a space where I could work comfortably. That my partner and I tried to do that about a year ago. We moved our bedroom to the spare room and we bought a bunch of our spare odds and ends of furniture into the studio, tried to turn it into a studio. It did not work. I, at the time, didn't know what I really wanted in a studio and what I needed. And what effectively was a beanbag sitting in front of a coffee table was not the best idea. And I definitely suffered from that. But now I have done the research, I've taken the measurements, I have drawn up far too many plans, and I've completely made over my studio space. So I knew from the very beginning that there were a few non-negotiables and then a few things that I specifically really wanted from this space. The non-negotiables mostly were about the fact that this is a rental home, and so as a result we can't really paint the walls, and I wanted to avoid putting as many holes in the walls as possible because I don't want to have to fill them all. There's also a wonderful carpet throughout the house, and I am a messy painter, so I wanted to do my very best to protect that. And finally, this room also doubles as our wardrobe and our clothing storage because our bedroom does not have space for a wardrobe. So there are 2 wardrobes and a coat rack in here, and they were things that I was not going to be able to move, so I did not include them in my plans. They did not exist. They were not a part of this room when I was creating my studio. As for the things that I specifically wanted from this space, we chose this room for its natural light. You're not seeing a lot of it right now, it is incredibly overcast, but this room gets the best of the very small amount of natural light we get in our house. I knew I would need a chair, and I would need a comfortable one. What started me on this journey of redoing this room is the fact that I was sitting on a beanbag and I was hunting for a floor chair that would be the right height for a coffee table. There isn't one, not that I would sit at comfortably, but I knew I would need a comfortable chair, and I would need one that I could sit unconventionally in, because as great as it is to sit ergonomically with your natural back and your feet on the floor, that was never going to happen for me. I sit with my legs crossed at all times, even when it's not particularly comfortable to do so. And I'm not exactly small, so I needed a chair that would accommodate for that. Did I overspend on said chair? Absolutely, but it is adorable and I do not regret it for a second. I wanted to not only be able to create art here, but I wanted to be able to play PC games and potentially have a future PC build in here, which I'm very excited about. Very not cleverly made all the plans for, and definitely can't afford it right now. So if you want to help me at all towards that and get yourself a really cool pair of fingerless gloves or a dice bag or even a gorgeous print, head on over to my Ko-fi, the link is in my bio. I knew that I would need as much storage as humanly possible because I need dedicated places for things, and I did not want everything to end up in piles on the floor yet again. So I made sure to build a lot of storage into this studio build. And finally, I want to be able to enjoy the space. I want to spend time in here. So I wanted to make it as bright and airy and colourful and aesthetically pleasing as I possibly could, and I think I've done a pretty good job. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. So this was my initial plan. You can see that I've blocked out the areas that I know I can't use, and I wanted to have an L-shaped desk for art and gaming. That was the main premise. So before we started, this was my studio. It was a coffee table with a beanbag on the floor. The storage was the floor. It wasn't great, and it was possibly the worst use of the space I could have come up with. So obviously we have to start with clearing. This was overwhelming, it was a lot. That is George. I rescued him from a garden centre. I get so overwhelmed by the amount of stuff, and honestly, I start second guessing myself. No, it's a good move. It is a good move. This coffee table could have been fantastic. It's got this lift up front and it's got loads of storage inside, but it was still a coffee table. The next day I was able to move the coffee table with my partner's help and had to carry on clearing.
There's just so much stuff. So I moved this over with the measurements I'd initially taken. I do end up getting rid of that bookcase because it just didn't fit.
So I got this to try and protect the carpet in there because I can't rip it up, it's a rental. But this is what painters and decorators use apparently, but I'm going to have to cut it down to size. It's 3 meters by 4 meters at the moment and the room's not even that big, so I want to cut it to 2.5 by 1.5. I no longer really know what I'm doing. I'm just going for it. So I had to take 5 to see if I could work out a way to secure this to the carpet. I can't. I'm thinking carpet tape though, so I'll order some of that and come back to it.
So my IKEA delivery arrived and I spent an entire day putting the furniture together. I'm pretty good at constructing IKEA furniture, but I just don't have a lot of patience. You can probably see that that space is not going to be very big desk space. You'd be right, I will move it later.
So this is it so far. It's quite a way off from finished. I need to tape this down. I'm waiting for the tape to arrive today. This side will be my art desk. The tripod and stuff needs to go down here, but I need to tidy up there and I need to get some more stuff. This will be my computer desk. It looks disappointing right now, but one day it will look very good.
So I sat at this desk to play D&D and realised that there was not enough space. Adjustments had to be made.
So I'm a little disappointed. I moved the desk because I wanted a little more space for my computer and stuff, which is great, but I wanted to fill in the gap with just some wood. I was going to get it cut to size. Turns out nowhere in my town does that. So I can't get it cut to size, but I'm going to try option 2, which is to get 2 LINNMON shelves from IKEA and kind of put them together and hope for the best. They'll be like 2 centimeters taller than the desktop, but I figured the taller is better than too short, so it'll look like a little bit of a platform. It's not a part that I'm going to be really using, it's just something that I think it will look nicer. So we'll see if I can get those and if I can cobble them together.
So I've gotten 2 of those LINNMON shelves, the floating shelves from IKEA. I've braced them at the front with like a flat bracket. And I'm using another one on the top to hold it together and create one shelf that's the right size.
I did it. It's pretty solid. So my DIY desk extension worked. So it's been a couple of days and this has happened, which is not great. So I'm trying to reinforce with things that I have in my toolkit. So these. This is how it's going so far. I'm going to attach them to the desk side here. I'm going to do like 2 of them. And then I'll secure them to the shelf thing. And hopefully that'll solve the problem. I don't have anything stronger, but I might have to go get something. So I don't know if I'd say I fixed it because it's still wobbly. But I really don't know what else to do. Like, I think what I probably need is like an angled brace or bracket or something there. I can't put one on the back because of this shape, because it was shelves. So I'm not sure. What is probably a really bad idea to try and fix my problem. This tape, it's the carpet tape I used, is really strong. So I'm hoping if I put like a strip underneath the shelf and then screw it on, maybe that'll solve the problem. So that didn't work. The copper tape is not strong enough. I think I would need like, I don't know, I heard someone talking about some kind of 3M tape, but not 3M tape. It's stronger. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know where to get it. I don't have any, so no idea what to do. Looked into it. What I need is VHB tape. I can't afford that at the moment, so it can wait. It's not urgent.
Now it was time to organise my vast yarn stash. It's not that vast, it's quite small really. But the collecting, I think, is a hobby in itself. I had hoped this was going to be a satisfying organisational montage, but it's not very neat. I realised that I needed a palette, so I decided to make one. I'd heard that glass palettes were really good for oil paints, and I couldn't find a sheet of glass, so I got a really cheap photo frame. Made sure it was a glass one, and I'm popping out the glass. Be careful if you try this, it can be sharp. I'm mixing up a mid-grey. It ended up a little darker than I would have wanted, but it works just fine for me. I'm using a sponge because I figured it would have the least brush strokes. Didn't really make it much of a difference. So I'm just painting on what will be the back of the glass so that it'll show through. And I'm taking the hardware off the back of the frame so that it'll sit flat on my desk. I then decided to paint the inside of the back of the frame as well, because I figured it would help, and I think it was a good call. The coat on the glass wasn't thick enough, so I stippled some more on, and once it had dried, I put it all back together, making sure that the shiny part of the glass is on the outside, obviously. Glass is a great paint palette because it's really easy just to scrape paint off of it, even if it's dry. I have ruined many a wood palette. So here's my mini studio tour. Mini because the studio is small. At the back there you can see my pegboard. Down here is, well, easel storage, but it's also where I'm tracking all my extra yarn and the bookcase that I haven't put away yet. This is where I keep my spare canvases, a couple of unfinished paintings, and a bunch of my plants. And right up the top there you can see some finished and some unfinished paintings that eventually I will get back to. So here's my art desk, it's where I will paint. And this side is my PC desk where I will game, hopefully. The chair is the AutoFull Cinnamoroll chair. I love it, it's so comfy. At the back there you can see my pegboard from IKEA. I love it. I didn't fix it to the wall because I didn't want holes in the wall, obviously. I love that I can store useful things there and also pretty things. There are the rest of my plants. Some of them look a little worse for wear because I didn't realise they couldn't deal with direct sunlight and they were in the windowsill for a couple of years. This is where I store my prints and my postcards and a few of my paper originals. It's actually a really nice tray, but it is really heavy. I've got some of my artwork up on the wall. I will label it. I'd love to have some more art from other artists though. It's like the perfect cozy, comfy space. I can do my art and I can game. It's exactly what I wanted. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment and subscribe if you enjoyed and if you like art related videos.